Yeah. I'll repeat that part for your recording. So the plugin's called Headings Map. It's in Google Chrome, and it's a checker. We use it in our business for quality checks for any new page. And all it does is it's showing how Google is reading the website. So the H1, which is first on the page, is this. H2 is this, and so on and so forth. If we go to over here on yours,
Oh no.
yours is red. But again, you're not focused on SEO, right?
No.
So this first red is because it's out of order. So you start with a 2 instead of a 1. That's the first thing. The bigger thing is one of your 2s is empty down here. It's nothing. So you have a wasted 2. It's probably, I'm going to guess the spacing here has a heading tag on it. But the one that's killing me the most for you is your number 1 heading on the page for Google. Most important is the word testimonials. But testimonials for what? For who? Why? So it's the only time testimonials should be a heading is on if you had a page of all testimonials. And even then, that's not typically a good thing to do. But
Sorry,
certainly not.
it's not good to have the name testimonials for a page called testimonials?
It should be more than that, because if try and pretend like you're someone who can't see. Google's robots don't see in this case. They're just reading the structure here, and that's it. So Google's robots, first, it wants the H1 at the top, right? So your easiest, like right after this call, change this one that's a 2, change it to an H1, and you're already going to have a big improvement because it's first, and within your H1, your name, your business name, what you do, boom.
And that's okay to have a long tail H1 like that?
That's a big part of the SEO in general, but there's so much. There's like very bad, which this isn't. Very bad would be it's keyword stuff. There's no headings at all. Like very bad is terrible, right? Like, and it's not mobile optimized. Google won't even consider it. You're blocking robots, like very, very, very bad. So that's a 0 all the way up to a 10. So like, sure, the 10th of 10s would be only the short keywords with no extra personality words, bland as can be. That would be a 10 for SEO. And also someone who's coming, especially looking for someone who's intuitive. If they came to your page and it was just robot words as your H1 exclusively, that's not going to convert for them. So that's why for me, it's finding that balance. And in your case, keeping your current words that do describe you well as an H1 is already several steps better than your current words as an H2.
Okay.
So would that one change make your whole page SEO perfect? No. And that's fine because it's still better than it was before that small change. And for people doing it themselves, which is for your group, right? Like that's it's a big way to do things without it being crazy overwhelming, because otherwise it will be for them, for anyone.
So thank you for showing me the X-ray goggles of how to like look at a website. And this plugin is available to basically anyone, right?
Just through Google Chrome. Yeah, it's a free plugin. That's why I like it so much.
So someone could go check, well, first of all, someone could book a call with you. You could show them what to look for. But if someone wanted to take this, they could check for themselves, take a look around.
Exactly.
And then if you're open to it, so if you're a small business owner who has either just built their own website on WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, whoever their niece recommended them to get on, what would you recommend that they go do and focus on if they wanted to start getting found locally and online?
So let's choose, whose website should we do? Let's do Flowers Talk Tivoli, which is an Ottawa site. So first thing, making sure you have that H1 that describes the heading 1, who you are, what you sell. And if it is a location constricted business, in her case, the flower shop is in Ottawa, then the location needs to be included as well. So flowers, seasonal decor, plants, Ottawa. If you're a business that has licensing requirements, so that would commonly be lawyers, financial advisors, mediators, social workers, therapists, they have province-based restrictions typically. Then Ontario should be in your H1 for your location restriction. If you don't, like you or I, there is no reason for us to add the location unless we're trying to attract a larger number of those clients in a specific area. So an example of that for us is our SEO page, actually.
Interesting.
We work with SEO clients all around, and we found that we were particularly enjoying working with ones in Ontario because we've done so much work here already that the research phase is faster. I've worked with lawyers in Toronto. So when there's one in Brampton that wants pretty much the same thing, it's easier. I'm already familiar. And then if there's one in Newmarket, it's familiar. There's one in Ottawa, similar strategies are going to work. So we, even though we do it everywhere, we started targeting for Ontario on our SEO page specifically. So.
Okay. And in a case like this, if I were to regurgitate it to a client, we would recommend them building a separate page from their homepage, calling it something that is service and location specific so that the
Yep.
little robots at Google are like, hey, this person does this thing for these people in this place.
Yep.
Calling it the H1 tag, as you said, who you are, what you sell, and location specific or restrictions.
Yep.
And then I'm going to guess that H2 tag is then equally as well, sorry, it's not equally as valuable, but next then is give more keywords, but on a tertiary basis. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're keeping our number one keywords, which for us is the Ontario and SEO in this case, right? It's also in the page name, which is what this is showing here. And this is where you can put a bit more of the personality into it in most cases, because you're writing a kind of secondary version.
Okay. And can I call that, because I have background in like copywriting, can I
Yeah.
call that the human-centric conversion?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. That's what it's about for me when we're doing it. It's like, okay, can we put as much robot energy as the individual business owner's branding aligns with into the H1? And then the H2 gets to be so much more human-y.
I love that. I appreciate that. I also refer to SEO as the little robots at Google when I'm explaining to my
Oh,
clients.
I guess I
I
call
say it's
them.
like going into a giant library and you're telling them what to look for. But I've
Yeah.
explained to this level, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what it is. I refer to them. I'll be like, so when they find you and they're like, there's people, I'm like, well, no, they're robots, but we're gonna talk about them as if they're people because they have predictable behaviors and they go out and do things on a scheduled basis and they look for certain things, and those things are the keywords. And if your H1 doesn't have those keywords, it does not matter what else is on the page or how good it is, because the robots don't know what you're selling. So they're not going to continue. And if it's choosing between showing two very similar sites, who gets to show up higher, it's the one Google knows what they're selling and who they're selling to, because Google wouldn't make money if people stopped using it. And if every time we went to Google, half the time we're looking for something and we click on it and it's something totally else, we'd stop using Google. So that's why the clear H1 for robots is pretty much vital. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to show up well. And that's how people end up showing up for weird things that don't even make sense to them because
Like
there's
testimony.
something in the structure. Yeah.
So is it fair to say then, if I were to tell my clients or the people that are listening, robot language is H1, as we described, page title, which we typically put in our metadata depending on what platform that you're in,
Yeah.
And there's a day where it was all metadata, but these days metadata tends to look more like, well, st page structure. I know that's hard for most like business owners though.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a look at the alt tags and images. Is that right?
Yes, 100%.
And is there any other
So,
metadata that is relevant and easily accessible for most business owners?
so you got your page name at the top, right? But if you see here, this is different words than the page name, right? So increase website traffic with SEO in Ontario versus Ontario SEO services. So this is the technically the page name, and this one is the Google page name. And there's not all platforms have it, but a lot will allow you to name them differently.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a good thing because if this was the name of the page, the back end of your site would be very confusing. Like, is that a blog post? Is that a sales page? So these get to be just straight technical, where these get to have a bit more of that sales energy, like
Okay. So
infomercial style. Buy now, click here.
if I were to convey this to an average business owner, then
Yeah.
would it be fair to say, so things you can focus on in the midst of doing everything else for your business, build out your website, make sure that you've got your homepage and that it's,
Mm-hmm.
I use the word canonical, it's another word, that you have on your homepage like human language. So what do you do? So when people land there, it's like, what do you actually do? Who do
Yep.
you provide it for? How can they work with you? That's the important part.
Yep.
H1 tags are important for the robots. Page
Yep.
title, which you can put in most of your
Mm-hmm.
platforms fairly easily as an average user.
Yep.
I'm going to say metadata, so make sure that you're using the alt tag in your images for screen readers and for Google.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next step beyond this, which is doing things like what you just explained, it would be worth a call to someone like you to be like, okay,
Definitely.
your SEO score might be somewhere between like a 2 to a 6. I'm being generous. And if you want
Yeah.
to take it
Very
higher
generous.
and you
Best
want,
ever do it
yeah,
yourselfer at a six. Yes.
yeah, it'd be, yeah. If you got lucky, maybe you're just somehow really good at it. Okay, so 2 to a 4 maybe. And
Yeah.
then beyond that, if you really want to start getting found more frequently online, from what I understand, and sorry, are you okay for a few extra
Yes.
minutes?
Yeah. You're
Okay.
good.
From what I understand, the SEO strategy for especially for small businesses while doing everything else, from what I understand, the important part is things like getting listed on Google and other directories specific to their industry or location. And I mean, obviously filling that out correctly. From what I understand, there's a science to that as well. Like make sure you're
Yes.
using relevant language and that there's like proper backlinks. But I'm going to
Yeah.
put that in the echelon of go create a Google profile, do the best you can, go get listed in directories, do the best you can, build
Yeah.
your website the best you can,
Yeah.
focus on the H1 tags the best you can. And then when you start getting certain traffic in,
Yes.
and this part I think is overwhelming for some people, you can install Google Analytics. We can start looking
Yeah.
at your analytics with a developer and we can start to learn
Yeah.
more about it and figure out, okay, what do you want optimized? That's
Yeah.
usually the tipping point for most of my clients. I say, now that you're paying attention, now let's figure out how to optimize it.
Yeah.
But up until that point, just get listed, do the best you can, just build a site,
Yeah.
do the best you can, use proper naming. And then blogs have been very important for a long time. Obviously,
Definitely.
with ChatGPT, things are changing a little bit. I don't think this is the
Mhm.
time for that discussion, but it's still
Yeah.
very valuable. So when it comes to blogs in your experience, between getting listed in local directories
Mhm.
and posting blogs on a somewhat regular basis, the last I recall was 3 times a month, is what most of my SEO agencies recommend.
It works. I mean, the perfect answer is literally every day. And I'm
Oh,
never,
really?
ever, more is better as long as it's good quality and
Oh,
properly
okay.
done and back, right? So if you look at the biggest players in the game, that's what they do. And also, nobody is doing that when it's their own content. It's just
Yeah.
completely unviable. So
Yeah.
only people like essentially the largest of the self-help people in the world, they have so much content that theirs can be reused constantly. But
Mhm.
I, when I'm talking to my clients, I say, look, my fantasy is that you do it once a week. Also, I know I still don't do that. So knowing that once a week would be really a manageable ideal for someone with a ton of discipline. What is your realistic ideal? And that realistic, it's the consistency of it that has more impact than the frequency.
Okay.
And that's why the top people in the game, they're doing it every single day, whether it's a holiday, a weekend, because it's not actually them anymore, right?
The
Doing
teams,
it. They
yeah.
have a whole team that's their job. But someone who does it once a week, every week for 10 years will beat someone who's doing it more times, 5 times in one week, 2 in the next, takes a week off. And on the same vein, someone that does it every 2 weeks consistently will beat someone who does it sporadically. And even once a month will beat someone who doesn't do it at all.
Okay.
See, there's a lot of scales for me because it's the reality, right? It's
Yeah.
what is worth the ROI to you. And so if someone can write a blog well once a month and that is it, great. I want to see it posted on the 15th of every month, non-negotiably, forever.
And the 15th of every month. So the consistency part is key then, because they're
That's that key.
and that's the
Yeah.
cadence. Okay, I appreciate that. That's new actually. So
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the idea of, more is better, but within a reasonable amount. And I tell my clients, like I used to say, there's level 1, level 2, level 3, depending on your month and how much energy you have. Like this is ideal, your fantasy. And then
Yeah.
if this is the bare minimum you can do, then 2 years from now, you'll still be ahead of the game because you'll have 12 pieces of content, 52 pieces of
Exactly.
content, whatever the story is.
Exactly.
So that affirms what I already know, and I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Do you have
Here, let me just check. I'm happy to. Okay, I can go all the way to 11,
Oh,
and
wow.
if we get that far, I will hang up on you literally on the spot so that
I wouldn't want to use that much of
I
your
don't
time. I
think we'll take that
appreciate
long,
it.
but just,
Of
yeah,
course, yeah. How about let's aim for like a soft 15-minute padding for you, because that just gives us a
perfect.
couple extra minutes. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Give me a
Yeah.
chance to grab food.
Of course. And I appreciate all this extra time because it's really valuable. Like you said, like for all of us that are passing information on, I don't want to pass on bad information. So
I
it's
love
important to
that.
have my finger on the pulse here.
Yeah.
So the thing I'd love to come back to then is what is good content or done well in your opinion? Because I know
Mhm.
the canonical structure of
Yeah.
like blogs from an SEO standpoint, this is what they
Yep.
tell me I should be doing. But if we
Yes.
translated that to a small business owner who don't know how to do keyword research, who,
Yeah.
already don't think they know what they're doing, how could we set them up for success with that?
So there's a lot of spammy stuff out there for keyword lists, or people say, oh, ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not going to do the actual research. It's an algorithm that tells you the most likely next words that you want. That's how it works scientifically. It's math, not research. So, what there's so many people targeting words that either actually aren't good options, have super low traffic, or are so competitively difficult that they will not win, period. So with our mutual client, that was one thing that we saw and put our big energy on was let's make the true list and then which have the best potential for him to rocket up to the top because the competition's not doing great at it.
Mhm.
And so blogs are one of the ways that we're leveraging that. Um, so I don't know if you sell any keyword services. We have a call we sell. It's $300. It's 45 minutes, and we do the research live with the person, and then export the list for them. And then they have a list of of topics and the order they should be doing it in,
And
because
the order they should be doing it in? Oh,
yeah,
because you'll have ranked it to say this
we'll
is,
rank them.
and just in case, would you be open to me sharing this like recording with people in the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so just in case anyone's watching this in the future, because what you
Yeah.
just explained is really great, and I know conceptually what it is. What you've just described is it's great someone can book a call with you to demystify what the heck are keywords and how do I actually figure it out, because that's a whole
Mhm.
job unto itself that can be
Yeah,
fruitless if you don't know what you're doing. Someone like you
exactly.
can pop on, someone on your team, sorry, can pop on, say based on what your business is and who and what you're searching for, these are the keywords. These are the really competitive ones, the ones that'll be good luck, Chuck. These are the ones
Yes.
that
Good luck,
hardly
Chuck.
anyone is going for. And these are
Yeah.
the meaty ones in between. Because I've seen this analysis done with another mutual client, like
Mhm.
you said. It's like these are the sweet spots that nobody else is really picking up on yet. And then if you showed up in the game here, kind of like a muscle building competition. No one's really trying to compete for triceps right now. So if you showed up in the tricep game, you would do really good or really well
Yeah.
in like 6 months.
And you're ahead. Anyone that
Mm.
starts after you will have to invest so much more to beat you
Mm.
if they can at all. So that's where it's the original SEO strategy in the sense that the original people that put in the time and money and effort and kept their consistency going are still in the top spots. It's nearly impossible to unseat them from their keywords. but they don't have every keyword. So that's where you then, those lower volume keywords with less competition will get you personally better results. So, tangible example, let's say mediators, divorce mediators. Let's say the most competitive keyword for that in Toronto is Toronto divorce lawyer. And the most traffic is for that too. Arbitrary number, let's say there's 800 searches a month. And most people are just looking at the highest volume. So 800, okay, that's the one. We got to go for that. But Toronto divorce lawyers with an S, maybe it has 300 searches a month. So far less. But 300, wouldn't you like 300 people going to your site who want exactly what you're selling every single month? Well, the competition for that one is probably way, way, way less. So you can get onto page one faster with less money and less time because everybody else is focused on that one prized thing, the one biggest volume, 800, 800. All that matters is 800. And so they're ignoring every other opportunity.
That's really well said. I appreciate that. So in a case like that, if you were to find keywords for someone like me or another business, you would find adjacent ones that are creative and clever that hardly anyone or there's just more opportunity for. And
Yeah.
then you would give us like a blog. I'm really being high level with this, but you give us
Yeah.
like a blog strategy to say if you did blogs once a day, once a week, once a month,
Yeah.
within a matter of 6 to 12, presumably months, you
Mhm.
might surpass them on the
Yeah.
first page of Google. Might
Yeah.
be.
And start with this, do this one first because it has the best, I call it opportunity score. So it's a formula I created that compares the difficulty based on the volume and the competition. And that higher that number, the easier it will be for you to become on page one. And so I want people to look at what is the highest opportunity score on their whole list. That's your first blog. Then number two, that's your second blog. Number three, that's your third blog. So it takes all the guesswork out of it and the overwhelm. You just go down the list in order of what one you should do next.
That's really smart. I appreciate that. So if someone were to book a call with us, it would
Mhm.
make sense for them to know their business well, to know their market well, because you're going to be giving them a creative approach to rein all that in. So if someone
Exactly.
is not clear on their business or their market yet, the keyword call would still be helpful, but they're at a part in their business where they should hunker down and figuring out what their sweet spot is before the
Yeah.
keyword call.
Yeah. Make sure you actually know what you're selling to who and that you can explain it. And you will get the best, best, best results out of the call if you can also tell me at least two competitors, up to five. And I know everyone is unique. Okay. Everyone is unique, but that's not good in terms of Google. Google compares people of like things based on their content. So, how much overlap in your keywords. And that's why you'll see things in marketing. Like if you like, let's see, if you like, um, what's the Let Them lady? Mel Robbins. Mel
Mhm.
Robbins. If you like Mel Robbins, you're likely to also like people who overlap into that overcoming and confidence and boundary setting domain. So you'll like other people of a similar vein. That's algorithms. Google does the same. So if someone was truly unique and one of a kind, that's actually not good for Google because it has no baseline of where to place you.
Okay, that's actually really good
That's
insight.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it
appreciate
actually matters to sit down and think about it, right?
it.
If someone who's your ideal client, they get on the call and they say, "Look, I want to be upfront. I'm talking to three people. You're one of them. Who are the other two?" That's what you will get your best, best, best keyword list if you can tell me who they are.
Okay, that's good to know. I think for a lot of service-based businesses and local businesses, I think that's fairly clear. But I work
Mm-hmm.
a lot with health and wellness-based businesses as well. And the ambiguity there is what tends to kill them. It's a
Yes.
combination of them building their business, knowing themselves, and having little to no market experience. So
Yep.
that's really good. I appreciate that. That's really valuable. I appreciate so much what you're sharing because it's very disseminatable. I can disseminate
Mm-hmm.
that easy. Yeah, easy for me to
Yeah.
say. Yeah. If you don't mind, can I wrap around to a couple quick things then?
Of
So
course.
when it comes to the blog keywords, I think that's brilliant that you offer that as a service. Because even myself, I've tried to do keyword research and like using Answer the People and stuff. But even myself, I'm like, I don't. It's like going to the gym for the first time. I know I want muscles, but I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just going to lift
Yeah.
this weight and hope it works.
Good
We
luck,
know
right?
that it's fruitless as a business owner to waste our time in the wrong areas. So I think it makes sense for people to seek you out when we've got the keyword research for you to set them up with to do their own blogs if they're not at the point where they can afford full SEO services.
Hmm.
My next two questions would be the blog length. There was a
Hmm.
time where I want to say it was 750 to 1300 is what we were aiming for.
Yeah, it's changed in that front. So uh, I don't want people to get obsessive about details like this because I've found it leads to people not posting,
Mm,
whether it's too long or too short, and then they don't post. The consistency of the posting and the quality of the keywords chosen trumps length every time.
okay.
It's like a social media post in the sense that you want to give great information as succinctly as you can. So if it only takes you 400 words to give a great answer and wrap it up, great. That's enough. Don't stuff it with extra junk. It's not a high school essay where you're going to fail if you didn't have the exact
Mm,
minimum words. That's not the case anymore.
okay.
And on the flip side, if it's much more than, I'm going to say, and this is a flexible number, let's say 1,500, even 1,200 these days, but look at it and say, could this be two blog posts about adjacent things? Like, is it still really just about one thing? Or are we now talking like on our call, right? I could have made one blog post of here's 3 SEO topics I think really matters. Or there could be 3 because we've talked about 3 very distinct things. So in the past, it would be one would be more likely to um, be what you would do just for the length. But in the age of AI search, which is growing extremely fast, the more specific you can make your blog post topics, the more likely you are to be included in those AI answers. So
Okay.
it's a bonus on top of now I have 3 blog posts instead of just one. And with consistency, that's important. So you're making it easier on yourself.
Okay, that's helpful. And when it comes to repeat content, there was a time where if we had an article on our blog and then I went to post it on like Medium or another, that was like demoted because it was repeat content. Is that
Yeah.
still the case? And how do we leverage our content on other platforms without being demoted?
Oh, this is where there it is still the case in the sense that the first is always the most important. It's the winner.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing because let's say I posted something on my website and then 6 months later, a competitor came, saw it, loved it, copied it, put it on their own. Well, I don't want them to get the same SEO credit I did. It was mine. And so that's where all this came from with Google. It was done as a protection for the creators. It's a good thing. So in the age of ChatGPT, I think it's a great thing to put your original writing, because I don't believe in using AI to write your whole content. You are the expert. Put it in and say, can you reframe this so it can be reposted to LinkedIn? It's going to create some small changes to it, enough that it's not a duplicate.
Mm,
Reread it, make sure it's actually your voice and still matches the same outcome you want. Treat it like an entry level employee. Don't just say, yeah, just take that over there, rewrite my stuff, and post it all over the internet. Bye. Like, no, double check. Um, that way you're protected because it's still you, it's still your info, and it is totally different enough that the algorithms change over time. And I like to do effectiveness. And I don't want to ever have to go back and change every single blog I've ever written because an algorithm's changed. I'd rather do the little things now in my process.
if I were to take that away for the average business owner or the up
Mm,
and coming practitioner, um, if I so I have a directory where
mhm.
I help like healing and wellness based people get ahead. In
Yeah.
a case like that, I have built a system that helps them create more SEO content in an easier way, with the idea
Yes.
of posting it there in case they don't have a website or it's too cumbersome for them to do it on their own. So it's just
Yes.
content being generated in this collective, cooperative kind of way, right?
Mhm.
And in a case like that, I have long wondered if I tell them to go post it back on their website, am I demoting them? So what I'm hearing you say is wherever they publish it
Yes.
first will get the better score. So it's up,
Yep.
I'll be transparent about that for them as to whose should
Yeah.
go first, but
Yeah.
will the other be demoted? So if I say go publish on yours first and then don't worry about us, over time will our score as a directory lower because we're stealing content?
So hard. So this is a lot more complex. So there's, depending on what you're using for the SEO, there is a setting you can do that says this was originally done elsewhere. You do it on your own website sometimes if you have keywords that overlap too much, so you don't cannibalize yourself, because that can happen
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
Um, so that helps with that. So does linking back to the original, showing like clearly like this. And now that I say it, you're going to have seen this before. This was first published on blank.
Okay, I think that might be a simplified answer. And then when it gets to a point where I want to explore this strategy in more depth, I will book a call with you and say, what would you recommend for me and my
Yeah.
users to get the
Yeah.
best out of it?
Happy to walk you through it on the
Yeah, that was
technical side then.
really, really helpful. So just to summarize, and it's super helpful, thank you so much, is that we've got some proactive strategies for the average business owner to do themselves when it comes to building their website, getting posted on local directories, and an
Mm-hmm.
idea of how to approach their blogs. You've
Mm-hmm.
helped demystify the whole what do I actually write about because you guys offer a fairly affordable and very economic
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
to go get keywords so you're not wasting your time at the gym for the next few years because you just know what you're focusing on, which is brilliant. And you've given us an idea about what blog links should look like in terms of structures and stuff. Maybe I might send you a question about that later on in terms of how to support my people. I know that generally I say H1 tag, obviously, is your title. I will
Yeah.
usually say try to use a couple H3 tags throughout to kind of break up
Definitely.
the content. And maybe what I'll do is I'll mirror it back to how you showed the page structure, where we say this is what the robots see. If the robots are reading your article, what are you giving them to eat? So the H1 is this, the H3s are this. There was a time where you wanted to structure it in a way that was like Q&A or FAQ schema,
Yeah.
I want to say. I think that's a bit too advanced for most people for their
Yeah. I
to.
would, yes, that is all, that is totally correct. And it is a very, very good and strategy. One, when you, it's called schema markup, when you mark up the map to say that's what this is.
Yeah.
But that is, if people don't code, like that's too far for them.
Yeah. As a developer, I know to do that because it sets them up higher based on my SEO teams. But I think for the
Exactly.
average business owner, what I might tell them though is
Scare
like
them too much.
structure your content in a way that like is like an FAQ or something.
Mhm.
So list format is what I might tell
Yeah.
them. Is that fair to
Yes.
say?
Google likes lists, numbers,
Okay.
and numbered and bulleted. I think
Okay.
those are easy wins too.
Okay. So the takeaway from this is focus on keywords that are actually in line with what you're looking for. Don't worry about the blog length. Be more succinct if you can.
Mhm.
Um, use things like H1, H3, H2s. I mean, I guess
Choose the subheading. So like a book. Here. It's the analogy I use every time.
in a blog article, do you use H2s? Well, I guess if you're breaking up
Definitely.
H3s.
Yeah, I do. And then all H3s after that. So it's your table of contents, right? Like that's literally what that is. So like the chapter name. So that's your H1, H2, and then there's all my H3s. And then my next page of my website, H1, right? And then you have these kind of, and the whole thing, is the name of the book is that's your name of your website as a whole, your business name.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the book. That's what you're giving Google. You're giving it the table of contents of that page so it can understand, right? You're looking at a book, you're like, oh, is it this for me? You flip to the table of contents. That's what
Okay.
Google is doing.
I appreciate that's a great analogy. We're at our time now. So I want to say thank you so much for all of that. You did such a beautiful job of explaining it. If it's okay with you, I'd love to follow up when we have time later in the day or this week to get more information on like what links I can send people to. So I understand that I mean, you have those different session types, but
Mhm.
yeah, for the sake of time, I think you've given me so much. I appreciate it so much. If
Oh,
you're open to me actually making this available to other people, I think it might be valuable for those who just want to take a look through. I don't typically do things like this, but you explained it so well. I'm like, well, heck, why not? Just
there you go. Happy
share it with
surprise.
people who need to
Yeah,
see it. Yeah. And then beyond that, I think if it's okay with you, I'll get in touch via email.
definitely. Yep. I just put one link in the chat so you can grab that. That goes to the advisory call page. So that's where people can
Perfect.
book from. And
Perfect.
then any of the other links you want, send me the email and we'll get them to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Michelle. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to getting to connect with you again in the future.
That's awesome. All right. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.